Hi, everyone, and welcome back to my podcast, Blessed and Beautiful. I'm your host, Peyton Griffiths, and today we have Lexi Clem joining us. Okay,
Hi.
Lexi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm Lexi. I have two beautiful kiddos, Monroe and Mabry. I'm married to Riley. I also am a teacher and I work at Legacy Christian Academy and I work in our Grove Kids ministry, the Chaos. So I do a lot with our Grove Kids ministry and really any ministry in the church. I'm doing something.
Yeah, so this is my new series called Ministry Moments, and we're going to be talking about all different kind of ministries throughout the next couple weeks. But today we're going to start with children's ministry because Lexi is kind of like, I feel like she's kind of the glue that kind of holds it together, you know?
If I was the glue, it'd be falling apart. But yes, I do a lot.
Yes.
I do have a big hand in that with an amazing team. But
Okay.
yes.
So, how did it start for you, like ministry, children's ministry?
That's okay. So I'm just going to start from the beginning if that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So after Riley and I got married, we were looking for a church to go to, and his brother was going to the Grove at this time, and this was when it was an old building, so like 8 years ago. And he said, "Let's go visit the Grove," and I was like, "Absolutely not! I'm not doing that. I'm not going to church there." I don't know why I felt that way, but I was like, "No, I'm not going there."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Let's just go visit one Sunday," and then I'm like, "All right, I'll go visit, but I'm not going to go to church there."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay." So we went, and of course, first Sunday, I'm like, "I love this place so much. I never want to leave." So I fell in love with it there, and we didn't. I mean, we knew some people just because we had grown up in Roane County.
Yeah.
But we didn't really have any close friends that went there, so we were trying to find our people and what to do. So I remember one Sunday they said something about Awana on Wednesday night, like, "Hey, we need Awana leaders," and I was like, and at this point I was teaching, so I knew I worked well with kids, and I was like, that sounds like something I might want to do. But you had to go up front after the service and talk to people, and I was like, "No, I'm not going to do that. That's too much. I'm not going to go talk to an adult. That's weird." So I just left, and I was thinking about it. And then the next Sunday, something else, they said it again. Same thing happened again. I was like, but then I have to go talk to people and sign up for this, and no, I don't want to do that. So then the following Sunday again, they're like, "Hey, we really need help in Awana. We don't have enough people." I was like, "Dadgummit, I guess I've got to do it." So I signed up to help with Awana, and this is when Ashley Jones was leading it. And so I met Ashley Jones, and Ashley. Yes. She has such a sweet spirit and such a servant heart. And I met her, and I just remember loving her energy. And I was like, "Okay, I can do this. I can learn how to do this." Well, then, in true Grove Kids fashion, they just throw you to the wolves. And that's just how it is. They're saying, "Oh, you want to help? Awesome. Here you go. Take it and run with it." So I started helping with Awana, and I loved it. I fell in love. Now, it was on Wednesday nights, and it was after work, and I've been with kids all day, and I was tired, but I was like, I love working with these kids. So it's all started with Awana, just that constant pull. I would sit in church and they would talk about Awana, and I'm like, I should really help with that. I should really do that. And finally, I was like, I did it. And now 7-ish years later, here I am. But it got to where I would be involved in Awana. I had, a little hand in nursery here or there. And it wasn't really until I had kids that I realized how important the children's ministry is.
Yeah.
I always knew it was important, and I always cared about making sure it was good. But when I had my own children, it's like, wait a minute, these kids are so important.
Yeah.
And they can learn so much. Obviously, I work with my own kids at home, and I talk to them about God, but there's only so much you can teach your own children before they're like,
I don't want to listen to this.
I don't want to listen to you. They don't want to make cute little art projects with me and learn about pearls, and they don't want to do all that, but they like to do that at church.
Yes.
And so realizing how important this ministry is, and I became more passionate about it then. There were times Tyler and I would have hours long meetings, and I would be crying and I was so frustrated with the state of our children's ministry, with how it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, we need to find somebody. We need to hire somebody. We need to get somebody to come in and fix this. This needs to be better, 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 better. And he'll tell you this. We would get into, he'll say we didn't get into arguments, but we did. And I would get so upset because I was like, why are we not doing anything? And then finally I was like, why am I asking for some stranger to come in and take over this whenever I can do it? Like,
Yeah.
I'm qualified. Like, I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I do. I work with kids. And so then it was just like, you know what? Nobody else is coming along. So I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then God is amazing, and he sent amazing people. Jamie Summers,
Yes.
Jen Winsborough, Eli Clayton. Eli is, I love him. He's so awesome. But he sent these amazing people to support this ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And my head is very chaotic. There's a lot that goes on up here. So God sent these people to support me, and I'm a big idea person. Like, I have these amazing ideas, and then it comes to doing those things, and I'm like, that's going to take a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Or when it comes to like, hey, we need to have this event or do that.
Mm-hmm.
I say it and then I forget about it.
Yeah.
Then he sent people like Jamie who they're going to follow up. She's going to follow up. She's going to be like, hey, so you said this, like, that's cool. Let's actually maybe do it.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of the organization behind it. Like, she keeps everything organized and going, and like, we all have our own special roles and how. So
that actually leads us to our next question. What is your role in the children's ministry? You do a lot in there, but do you have a specific role that you do?
Yeah. So really, utility player. I can do anything, whatever.
Yeah.
We're just kind of like, our team is me, Jamie, and Eli, and our extended team. Like, our leaders are amazing, but Jamie, Eli, and myself just kind of do whatever's needed whenever's needed. But my big thing is focusing on the kids. So I'm not good at communicating with the leaders, like as far as making sure they're like on the schedule properly, or that they have the materials they need, or all these. I'm not going to remember that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to working with kids, that's where my strength is.
Yes.
I can pop in and teach a lesson on the fly out of nowhere. Like, if somebody doesn't show up, I can do that. So my role is all things kids, I guess you could say. So if we need to plan lessons, like, I look for the curriculum, I vet the curriculum. If there is a kiddo that's having a hard time adjusting to, like, maybe it's their first or second time at church and they're having a hard time, I help bridge that gap. I help that kid, or we're having some behavior troubles, or we need to communicate with parents about different things. That's where my role is. So anything that has to do with the kids or the teaching aspect, that's my thing. But if it comes to communicating with leaders, that's not my thing. I'm not good at that.
And I would say you're really good with the kids and making them actually want to listen and stuff, because you make it fun. Like, y'all do arts and crafts. Like, when I help out, y'all are always doing something fun, like painting, but it goes with the lesson too. So it's not just about arts and crafts. It's also about God.
Yeah.
So
we always try to. I had one of my students in class, my school students, not church students, came up to me and said, why don't we make candy anymore? And I was like, what do you mean, why don't we make candy? I had no idea what he was talking about. He said, at church when we make candy. I was like, I don't know. I've never made candy. He said, yes, you did. You made candy. My friends told me about it, and that's why I came to church, because you made candy. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But apparently one time we made candy, like some kind of candy thing, and that made this kid want to come. And he was really upset that we didn't make candy again. So we do try to make it fun. And
So have you, would you say that your relationship with God has grown more now that you are feeding back into the community and helping with the children's ministry?
Oh yeah, for sure. I learn more from the kids than I do from a personal Bible study. One, because they ask ridiculous questions.
They do.
Not ridiculous as in crazy out there, but questions that I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea the answer.
Let me go.
So then I have to go study. So I learn more from their questions and the things that they notice than I do in my own personal study. And I mean, and this is just a fact. Like if you teach something, you're going to understand it better than if you just are listening to it and learning it.
Yes.
So in order to be able to teach something, you have to have a better understanding of it. So in learning how to teach scripture and come up with things that are exciting and entertaining, I guess, that just get the kids engaged with scripture.
Yes.
It makes me think of it in a different way. So yeah, since working with the kids, my relationship with God has gotten so much better, and I'm so much closer with him because I'm constantly in his word. Not that I wasn't before, but now I'm like, I want to look into this so I can help teach it to these kids, right?
Yes.
I want them to be excited about it and know all the things.
Yeah. I would say when I go like help out the kids, like they always ask questions and it makes me like think more about it.
Oh yeah.
Because it could just be like a story about like Jesus walking on water and you just think like, okay, I've heard the story a million times, but they might point out something that like you haven't noticed, even though you've heard the story since you were like a little kid.
Absolutely, they do. That funny you said that. Last week, maybe it was the week before last. I don't know. At LCA, we'd have Bible every day, but we were talking. That was our Bible story, was walking on water, and I thought it was going to be an easy one, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're going to get through this. It'll be fun. We'll go splash in a puddle or something. I was wrong. Bible that day lasted until like 10:30. We started at 9, and usually it's 30, 45 minutes long. Lasted until 10:30 and ended with me having to call Tyler Brown because I was like, I don't know how to answer these questions. I don't know. One of them was, it went from walking on water to Jesus' baptism. I mean, it was just all over the place. One of the questions was, so if God and Jesus are the same, but they're different, how come when Jesus was baptized and God said, "This is my son in whom I'm well pleased," how come Jesus' mouth didn't move? How could God speak if Jesus' mouth didn't move? And I was like, what? What? And he said, if they're the same, why didn't his mouth move? And I'm like, well, they're the same, but they're also separate.
Yeah.
And then I was like, And so then I talked about like, your body and how like you are without your brain, you wouldn't be, So talked about different things. And he was like, no, Miss Clem, like Jesus's mouth didn't move. So God couldn't speak. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm so sorry. And so that's when we called Tyler. And there were crazy questions like, why can't I do miracles if I'm a child of God? And why can't I? So the questions, I'm just like,
they're like mine. They're like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
My go-to is, well, Adam and Eve's first sin was because they wanted to know everything that God knows. And that was a sin. And we can't know everything God knows. So, yep, that's it. Move on. That's my go-to when I'm like, I don't know.
That's a good one.
So, and then, of course, I go look it up or ask and then bring it up another time. But I'm like, and moving on.
I'll go study the scripture and I'll get back to you like in next week or something. Okay, so besides like Sunday school and stuff like that, like during like service, how else does children's ministry help out like the community?
Okay, so obviously we have Sunday and Wednesdays, but in addition to that, so we do more in the summer. I would say, because during the school year is hard, especially with littles, to do anything after school. I don't want to.
Yeah, even I'm exhausted after school.
But in the summer, we try to do like VBS, for example. We try to make that a big community push, not just our Grove kids, but all the kids. In the past, they've done summer camps and sports camps and things like that. Let's see. We try to like participate. So when we have like mission projects at church, like blanket drives or whatever, we try to get involved in that aspect. So just, I guess, little things here and there. Our main focus is Sunday and Wednesday, right? And that takes a lot of work to make Sunday and Wednesday work.
Like, it might look easy, but it's also, I think it's a good thing because the parents can go out and they can, like, feed their souls, but also the kids are getting fed. And at the same time, I feel like the leaders are too because they're pouring into these kids.
Yeah. And that's what we try to encourage our leaders. Like, yes, we want to give these kids as much Jesus as we can. We want to teach them as much as we can. But ultimately, they're going to be with their parents more than us, right?
Yes.
They're going to learn from their parents' example. Now, they might not sit down and have a conversation with their parents about Bible stories. You know, like I said, Ro doesn't want to sit down and have Bible study with me. She's like, I'm good, Mom. I'll go let Miss Madison teach me, or I want to go to Miss Evans.
Yes.
But she sees how I live, right?
Yes.
She watches me, and she pays attention to how I respond to situations and how I speak to other people. And so I tell our leaders, yes, it's so important that we teach these Bible stories and these things, but also we are taking these kids and letting their parents have time to just be and sit and listen and learn. So we try our hardest to not have to get parents to in the middle of service. Now, sometimes, especially with the little ones, that's just not possible. When they want mommy, there's just there's no
stopping it.
So because they're going to learn more from their parents and how they live than, like, yes, we're going to teach them the Bible stories. They're going to see, like, oh, my mom or my dad, this is how they treat others, and they treat others this way because they have a relationship with God, and they're going to see that through them. So one of our biggest roles is allowing these parents to go and be fed and to learn.
So I think we already talked about this kind of at the beginning, but how did you respond to your calling, like to children's ministry? I know you're talking about how you kind of resisted it the first like couple times, but like how did could you hear like God calling you to do it?
So I think it was more just like, it wasn't like an audible voice, but it was more just like the constant in my face. Like it's there. It's not going away. So when I told you about Awana earlier, and during that time I did a lot with our youth group as well. I taught middle school Sunday school, did all things youth group. And then it got to where I was trying to do both. I was trying to do all things kids and all things youth. So I still do stuff with the youth group, and I adore them. But it got to where I was being pulled so much to the children's ministry, and I wanted to be in youth because that's where Riley's in there. All my friends are in there, right? That's where my adult friends are, and I loved working with the teenagers. One, because I had there's a group there that I've had them since they were in third grade. I started with them in Awana, and now so I want to be in there with them. And so I tried everything to resist and somebody else will step up and do kid stuff. Then it just got to where I would be pulled back in there and pulled back in. And was finally, I couldn't ignore it anymore. I was like, yes, I love youth and I love this ministry, and I'm still involved as much as I can be. But that is like my gift is working with younger children. God gave me that gift. He gave me that talent to be able to work with these littles and to help them understand things on a level that they can actually comprehend. So but it just got to where I wasn't able to ignore it anymore. It was more just like, if this is in your face, it's not going away until you listen to me. And then I was finally like, all right, you win. I'm not fighting it anymore.
Why do you think you kind of resisted it the first couple times? Like, was it like fear of something, like not knowing of like what you were going to do, or like what?
No, it wasn't fear. It was more just I wanted to hang out with my friends. I was like, this is more fun. This is easier. Because working with the kids is exhausting. It is. You've got to be on all the time. You've got to have all the energy, all the smiles, all the things. And working with teenagers is easier, right? They can.
We just
you just chill. You don't need me to do a dance and entertain you and all the things. You would actually like look at me like I was crazy if I got up in front of you and tried to lead like a worship dance. You would think I was a weirdo. So part of it was it's easier to be in here, and this is also where my people are. These are where my friends are. Now I have amazing friends in Grove Kids as well, but when you're back there with the kids, you're not really hanging out with the other leaders. You are like putting out fires and making sure these kids don't run away, right? Whereas in youth, you get to kind of hang out with the other adults. So I guess that was probably my biggest thing. I was like, I don't want to leave my people. I don't want to do this. But I'm so glad that I did, because it is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I love it. It is exhausting. And there are times that I come home, especially on Wednesday nights when I've been there all day, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I need to go visit another church where nobody knows me. Nobody's going to ask me to do anything. I can just sit. And then, the next morning I'm like, that's ridiculous. I love this.
Yeah.
I'm just tired.
I just needed a good night of
Yeah.
sleep, Yeah. So, what would you tell someone who is feeling called to ministry, just children's, honestly, or just any kind, honestly? Like, what would you tell them?
If you feel even a whisper of calling, jump in and do it. And you're going to find out real quick if, you heard that calling right or if you didn't. So we have people all the time who'll say, hey, I want to try to work back here. I don't know how I feel about kids, but let me try. I'm like, sure, absolutely.
We need all the help.
Yeah, come on. But then we also try to remind people, hey, if this isn't your calling, find your calling. Let us help you find where you're called to serve. Because we have people who they'll come back and they're like, nope, I can't. And I don't. The kids can be a lot. You have to have a certain personality and a certain level of energy to work with these small children. And if that's not for you, then let us help you find where you're being called to. So a lot of people feel just a calling to serve.
Yes.
And they don't know where that is exactly. They might not know. And especially if they're parents, their first go-to is, let me just try kids.
Yeah.
I'm a parent. So we're all about it. We're like, yes, please come and stay and never leave us. But it's just finding where you fit and just jumping in, because you can sit there and think all day long, right? You can think, maybe I should try this, or maybe I'm being called to this. But until you just jump in and try it, you're not going to know. Because if you don't do it, you're just going to be wondering, like, should I try this? And there's nothing wrong with trying multiple ministries. We have so many at our church, right? There are so many ways to serve. Try them all. Try them out. None of the ministries are going to get upset if you say, hey, I want to test this out. I don't know. I know I want to serve. I don't know where.
Yeah.
I don't know what all these ministries have going on.
Yeah.
There's some, none of the ministry leaders are going to say, nah, if you're not in forever, you can't even be here for a second, So that would be my advice, is just jump in. Yeah. Jump in. You're going to have to, there's going to be some trial and error. Yeah. But
that's why I kind of started this series, because there's a ton of ministries out there, and if you feel called to it, I think you should know kind of what you're getting yourself into, and just there's a ton of options, and I mean, you don't have to be dead set on one and start that and then just do it the rest of your life. You can change them.
Yeah, you can switch it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love all your advice and all about children's ministry, Lexi. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Of course.
And thank you for all you do for our children.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
You're welcome. I love you.
Love you.
Love you all, and we'll see you later. Bye.